Final segment of hour one of Implicit Bias Radio. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. We've got a great crew here in the Mr. Lester's top secret podcast lair for you. Mike Trammell is here with us of Box Drop. We've got Brian the Virus Harmon of Dupree Carrier Godshaw and Eli Tate of Gambino's Bakery, fresh and alive and recuperating from Mardi Gras, where we know that you just basically got beat to death by about 18 billion king cakes. So
yeah, we survived.
Yeah, survived. Outstanding. Speaking of surviving, we talk about problems of the world here on the show. The theme for this week's show is when people tell you who they are, believe them. This week, Ariana Grande said something that I want to believe, or maybe I don't. Walker, can you roll that audio for us?
They did the Brighter Days memory erasure treatment to me, so I'm having trouble remembering the details. They're foggy because at the Brighter Days clinic, they do the memory erasure, you know?
The what?
The memory erasure. They erase my memories. It's a little foggy. They did the Brighter Days memory.
You serious, Clark?
What the hell?
She literally said, and I don't know if you heard it at the end, they erased my memory.
Brighter side.
All right, cool. All right, crew. Go ahead. We got to start into
Well,
the
how
microphone.
does she remember that then?
Well, okay, that was my first question.
Like-
How effective are they at erasing memory if she remembers that they erased her memory?
Who does this? I don't know anything about it. Like, explain it to me. I'm clueless here, y'all. Like,
at the bar?
I mean, I don't even know where to go with this.
is that like what you call? Is that
I
a
know
hard?
back in the 60s and the 70s, the CIA was experimenting with, some
Eli, ring the bell. Eli, ring the bell.
memory erasing, but
MK Ultra.
yeah.
Oh, okay, so hold on. Brian, tell us a little bit more. You need the microphone because this is an
Okay.
audio show. Yeah.
Don't quote me. MK Ultra, CIA, I believe, experiment.
Yes.
True story, happened in the 1970s. I think all the way into the 80s. They had some famous players, some famous victims. Ted Kaczynski, Google him. I don't know how to spell his name, but you may know him as another name. He was an actual participant in MK Ultra, unwillingly. Didn't know he was, but that's true.
I'll tell you.
This sounds a lot like this. What I wanted to say a minute ago was, y'all had me on the show one day and asked me to talk about Pokemons, and I refused. I'd rather talk about Pokemon than Ariana Grande, to be honest with you.
So this is not about Ariana Grande.
Yeah, you're right.
This is not about her at all. This is about the fact.
What it is that she's trying to say there. Who knows? I'm afraid we're being manipulated by an idiot. That's what I feel like.
I don't.
There's
she's
a
not
lot
that
of strange
smart.
things that go on with people that make it big in the industry. The industry being Hollywood or the music industry, however you want to take it. I've heard some interesting things come out of Justin Bieber's mouth that is really hard to believe. But a few years later, the Epstein list, no list, but
Which we haven't seen yet.
We learn about Epstein. There's some really strange things going on with the Diddy case. I'd like to know more. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't find out. But that whole industry, that everything you see on television is just boring me to tears. This is all so crazy. And what it is she's trying to put into words right then and there, I have no idea.
So it's so funny that the show this week, the theme is when people tell you who they are, believe them. First thought that came to mind for me when I heard this was MK Ultra. For those who don't know, please don't believe us here. Go look up MK Ultra. Go look up the fact that this is well documented what the Central Intelligence Agency of the United States was doing. You brought up Ted Kaczynski. I did not know that.
That's 100%
What I will tell you is that there's a pretty good chance that Charles Manson was an unwitting participant as well. And here's why. Because there is, and I'm going to bring this up in hour two because I've actually got to pull it out of my backpack because the name is escaping me. But there is a pretty well-known CIA handler who alleged, and it's in the book Chaos. You can go find the book. You can read it. It's very expensive if you find the hardback because people apparently don't want you buying it, but you can buy the digital copy. If you go read this, it is well documented that this CIA handler claims to have figured out how to implant memories, how to change memories, how to manipulate the memories of human beings and have them not necessarily be aware, be them fully functioning. So, Mike, the question becomes, how do they not, or how do they remember that their memory was erased? That they can get really specific with this. They can get really specific with what they plant. The question maybe isn't, did they completely erase the memory? Did they plant that, hey, we erased your memory into her mind? The fact that there's a clinic that she is calling out is a whole nother part of this story that makes me wonder what is going on. And yes, there's a reason people call Hollywood Hollyweird. It's because of stuff like this.
But you don't think she's just trying to attract that 10 to 16-year-old girl for some kind of other?
No. I mean, even as insane as younger generations have become, as they have just changed over I'm still trying to find the generation that's like, yeah, we want you to erase our memory at 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. I don't think that's a thing. I mean, maybe it is.
I mean, I've heard of like the hypnotize when, you can go and quit smoking.
Hypnosis,
yeah. Then where they take you into the session. Weight loss, I know had one. For a while, that was like a craze for that.
Hypnotic suggestion apparently is a thing. So
human manipulation is entirely possible.
The CIA,
I don't disagree with
the
that.
CIA handler, and it's killing me that I can't remember his name right now. I'm going to come up with it in an hour or two. The CIA handler who claimed to be able to manipulate memories, to implant memories, to do things like this, he used hypnosis, he used psychedelics, all in conjunction with each other in order to create the effects that he claims he was able to create. And he claimed it in written documents that are actually noted and referenced in that book, Chaos. It's all there. It's laid out. And it's all, believe it or not, from US government files, which is the insane part of all this. So, believe it or not, I'm inclined to actually think she's probably telling the truth here.
But is that possibly like a front for maybe these people that, that too, but maybe like the Epstein list?
That's exactly what I was about to say. It probably, we're getting a glimpse in her articulating their attempt to cover up some sort of exploitation of some point.
That's what
of some sort. Her in her position, unfortunately, at some point during her career, something has happened to her. That seems to be a reoccurring theme across most people over the last 20, 30 years. It's probably been,
the whole Nickelodeon thing, which is where she was. She was on Nickelodeon.
Weinstein, as bad as he was, he didn't invent the casting couch. Like, that wasn't his invention. It's been going on a long time.
But what you're talking about is a casting couch with kids.
Yeah,
right.
I don't want to get
that's
into,
where you're going, because that's where the whole Nickelodeon Dan Snyder thing went. And look, we are not accusing anyone of anything. That's just the documentary that was out there. And
the cost of making it in the industry is coming out of the other side a little weird. Or if you're lucky, I would say.
And Ariana Grande was a huge part of that, because when they started showing some of the things that she was doing on a kid's show, and you went back and looked at it as an adult, you looked at it and went, "Oh, that is horrific."
Yeah.
I mean, it was, if you're the father of a daughter, you looked at that and went, "Oh, there's no way I'd let my daughter, I don't care how much they're paying her to act or sing or whatever. That's not happening."
Yeah.
It was bad. It was overly suggestive of what, unfortunately, many people now believe was happening in the background.
Sadly, yeah, I have to agree. I'm not happy about it, but it's just, it's disheartening to think about. But it's the world we live in, and becoming adult, growing up being born in the 80s, growing up in the 90s and the early 2000s, and then seeing the change as we got into the 2010s and where we are today. Having the rug or the curtain,
veil.
That's right, pulled away, and just kind of realizing how ugly it can be. And the country was heading in a good direction, I would say. I think 90s were peak capitalism, man. It was a good time. And
90s were fun, no doubt.
Yeah. And
maybe too much fun.
Unfortunately, we've just taken a bad detour, and we're just seeing little bits and pieces of it from our perspective. And social media has a lot to do with it. The internet has everything to do with it, probably.
But if you watch the progression that Ariana Grande has made, where she has gone, and look, if you look at her now physically, the young woman looks sick.
Yeah.
And I don't know what kind of sickness it is. she does not appear physically healthy, is what I'm going to say. From someone who saw her evolution, my daughter was a fan. You look at her and you go, okay, she looked like a healthy human being. And today you look at her and you're like, what happened?
Britney Spears.
Well, at least she can sing.
That's another one.
Mm-hmm.
At least Ariana Grande is talented. I rag on the poor girl, but she's impressive and she deserves to be famous. I think she's paid a terrible price for it, and most of them do. That's the point I'm trying to make. I want to make is it's just I don't know. It's worth it to some, but have y'all seen her imitate voices? I mean, other famous voices. She's incredibly talented.
Oh, she is a true 5-octave vocal talent, which you don't get often. But to that point, the question now becomes, what has been done to her? Did they erase her memory? I mean, is she legitimately telling the truth here, where she went to, did she go to some sort of therapy? Did she go to some sort of clinic because maybe she was having some sort of mental distress? And they went ahead and said, well, we're just going to clear this out so you're going to be good and you won't even remember it. Because sometimes, look, ignorance is bliss. And Mike, I know you want to chime in, but we just got we got a hard wrap on this one. I know that sometimes you wish you would maybe not remember the first 20 minutes of the show.
Yeah, it would be helpful.
But if you do want to remember the first 20 minutes, find us on our socials, wherever you get podcasts. Go download Implicit Bias. We're on Apple, we're on Google, we're on Spotify, we're on iHeartRadio. You name it, we're there. Find Implicit Bias Radio, tune into all of Hour 1, and stick around, because if you're in a market where we don't get Hour 2, call your station, tell them, I want Hour 2, which is always more fun on Implicit Bias Radio.